fast, secure the bag. Don't even blink, make them walk the plank. Light them up, let's make them sing. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. On Bucs, yeah, we on. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. The whole field's our red zone. Let me give you 55 reasons why this is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. And we are on the Shooter in the Stash Network, the We the Thunder, whatever you want to call it.
It is hockey season, so
it is hockey season. So I've already got my tickets for the hockey versus the Phoenix Coyotes or the Arizona Coyotes. So I'll definitely be checking a game out in February. Just whatever I can do to support, man. I do what I do. Neil L., what's going on? I am joined by my co-host, my man, Kim Barrett, KB, not to be mistaken for Shaq Barrett. How you doing, man?
Good. I have a good feeling, Gene. My internet's not going to go out today, and it's because I took off the background.
Really?
Although I do want to point out one Christmas gift real quick. So right over here is a signed plaque of Mike Evans. Fiance got it for me. So I'm praying and hoping for Mike Evans blow-up game.
Hey, shout out to her. She's the real MVP here because I love Mike Evans. And he's right there with Ryan Suckup, which I know he's going to probably be gone after this year. But I'm enjoying all these players.
If Brady's back, I think they still want a consistent kicker. So I wouldn't write that. I think a lot of this roster will just be determined once we figure out what QB is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be really interesting to see how that all works out. We had quite an interesting game, Sunday Night Football, on Christmas. And here I am thinking, damn, I'm getting ready to get a lump of coal. And needless to say, I didn't get a lump of coal. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pulling off a win. And for 4 quarters, I say 3 quarters, it just looked like nobody wanted to win this game. It was
at least we weren't Denver.
Jeez.
That's all. We're having Christmas dinner and everything. Of course, I can see through the other door and see. I had Cam Akers in one of my leagues. I thought I was going to be completely outperformed. Like my team's just not as good as the other person in the semifinal. Gene, Cam Akers put up 33. The Rams put up 50. Going into the Bucs game, I was like, you know what? At least that game was taken care of before us.
Yes, exactly. And that's what it's all about, man. I mean, just I don't know, man. I feel bad for Denver just because of the futility that Bucs fans have had to deal with over how long, for just forever, it seems like. But it's just, I had to really reevaluate and take a long look at myself, because if you go back to 2017 or 2016, I guess is when it would have been, when the Bucs could have potentially gone to the playoffs, and there were a whole bunch of mathematics scenarios towards the back end of the season. The Bucs didn't control their destiny. And I remember saying, dang, I wish that could be us. And you know what? As bad, as horrible, as atrocious as the Bucs have played, dealing with catastrophic injuries, so on and so on and so on. And here we are. And the Bucs.
Can I bring up one catastrophic injury real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan Jensen's practicing, baby. He's practicing.
There we go. You got it. So shout out to Monkey Coffee. Shout out to
what a name.
It's very cult-like. I like it.
Well, what a name.
It is, man. I love it. And watching that game, it was just back and forth. And it just was so concerning, because if McSmelly is a more accurate quarterback,
bro, if Colt McCoy plays that game, not even talking Kyler, if Colt McCoy plays that game, I think we lose by 10.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so to me, it was one of those games where, man, you saw plays and you saw people wide open, and it was kind of a head scratcher, to be honest. There's just a lot of stuff that was going on, and just couldn't quite wrap my head around it. Uh, what was your take on the game?
Bro, if Trace could hit Nuke on that double move he put
Yeah.
on SMB,
hmm
I mean,
I
that's
saw
game.
that. I saw that move, and I was holding my breath, man.
I
And
mean, not even I can't like be mad at SMB because it's Nuke,
mm,
but like he put him in skates, man. He
yeah,
was in hospital shoes.
yeah,
He was donezo.
yeah. And the thing that I appreciated about this game is the Bucks didn't give up. They just it they just it ended up the way it ended up, and they won despite so many different things that could have been catastrophic and went the other way.
Yeah, and then I mean the biggest turning point of the game was the fake handoff pitch that turned into a fumble that Will Golston, fell on. I mean, that to me,
That was the
that
deal
was
breaker
that was
right
the turning point.
Yeah.
That's where the Bucks found their spark. They went down, immediately scored a touchdown. Like, actually, excuse me, they got a field goal,
Mm,
and then they got the ball
yeah,
back and
yeah.
then scored a tutty. But like,
So I've got to ask you, I know the big hot topic. I mean, if you go into Twitter and you type in Todd Bowles, I mean, there is just like tweet after tweet after tweet. And you gotta factor in injuries. As I was watching the game, there were a lot of times where Tom Brady did not have time to do anything. I mean, he didn't have time to scan the whole field. Uh, it just I know there were players that were wide open, but the way the defense was attacking that offensive line, there just wasn't enough time to really do anything. Then you've got players that are Kate Otten. Much as I love Kate Otten, there were some drops, and it was the struggle bus for a little bit. So again, it's one of those things where the Bucks. I'm happy for the win. I'm not even gonna. You would have to be a fool to be disappointed in the win. I'm glad they won, and again, they're in a position to where the Bucks could win the division. Crazy enough, huh?
that's all you can ask for, man. I mean, even if they lose to the Panthers, I mean, technically you'd have to be Saints fans for a week. But I mean, you still technically have a chance, but you just got to come out Sunday and close this out. If the Bucks lost versus the Cardinals, basically season was over.
Yeah.
Because now you need three different scenarios to work out versus like this Sunday where you just win and you're in.
Yeah, you control your own destiny. The one thing that I will say is that Todd Bowles defense, shout out to them.
Oh, they ain't the issue.
That
They ain't the issue.
they've been so maligned throughout the season, and there have been some times where um and I don't even want to say it's deserved, because when the offense isn't giving you any help and you're the only consistent force on the field, I mean, that's just kind of what you run into. Is it or is it not?
No, it is, but I mean, I think we have to also add our special teams to like most disappointment. I mean, they allowed another fake punt like conversion.
Yeah.
Like this is I mean, granted, I think Arizona drew up a fantastic play. No doubts about that. But in that position, it was 4th and 4, I believe, 4th and
Mhm.
2,
Yep.
4th and 3. Like you had to have seen that coming from a non-playoff team. I mean,
Well,
I tweeted it, like it was obvious.
well, I'm gonna say this. I think Arizona, they shot their gun too soon. They emptied the clip too soon. I those are plays that you see in the fourth quarter, maybe. I
I
mean,
think they needed to take at least 2 more shots during the game. Trace hit the one.
mhm,
He missed one to Nuke.
yeah,
But I think it's something the Bucks need to do. You need to take 1 shot a quarter at least.
exactly. Just to let them know that you're capable of doing it.
Now, well, it backs everyone up. The defense is now on their heels versus on their toes.
Yeah,
Byron running. I'm sorry, but why? Oh, and what if we're going to talk about injuries earlier? Leonard Fournette tweets that he's been playing with a Liz Frank injury, but is playing 80% of our running back snaps right now.
Yeah.
Liz Frank injury. That's serious.
That's real serious. I mean, I know my wife is on here watching, so I'm sure she'll chime in here in a minute. But is that like plantar fasciitis? Is that it's worse? Is it worse than plantar fasciitis? I mean, as
Gene, do
far
you
as
know Cam Newton?
yeah.
It ended his career.
Okay. All right.
I mean, as someone as athletic, big, strong as Cam wasn't able to overcome a Liz Frank injury.
Okay.
Levante David's play fell off last season because of a Liz Frank injury.
Okay. That is pretty serious then. But again, why not? You've got a plethora of running backs in your stable.
Keyshawn's done pretty decent too.
Why aren't you rotating him in? If are you? And again, I'm going to ask you this. You know, you being a former offensive lineman, can coaches draw up plays and scheme plays and scheme players open? Is that something that is not to be expected from today's NFL coaches or today's coaches?
All right, we're gonna pull up really quickly the best records in the in the NFL. All right, we're gonna go through just the top teams in terms of their coaching and coaching style. Okay, first is the Bills.
Okay.
I think they are an outlier in terms of the rest of the teams we're gonna start with. The Dolphins, obviously, they scheme their players open. The Chiefs scheme their players open.
Yes.
The Bengals scheme. A lot of these coaches are coming from the same tree, mind you. The Ravens, I would say, another outlier, obviously. I'm not going to touch the AFC South. They're just as bad as we are. Okay, Eagles, as soon as they got A.J. Brown, schemed everyone open. Cowboys, at least schemed CeeDee Lamb open.
That's all he got.
That's what I'm saying. 49ers obviously schemed their weapons open. The Vikings are the Sean McVay tree, scheme people open. Like that's just the NFL right now. I listed probably 8 teams. 2 of them are outliers.
So is this realistic to say the Bucs could potentially be in a better position by making an upgrade at the offensive coordinator position? And I'm not saying that for my
but here's my issue though. Todd Bowles, what has he shown us he wants to do this season? He wants to win with his defense. He wants to punt on 4th and 2. You know, he trusts his defense to win his games time over time.
Right.
Do you think a young offensive mind is going to be A, someone Todd Bowles wants, or B, a young offensive coordinator wants to come here? Yeah. I don't see that really working with Todd Bowles.
Now, let me go back to this. If you have an upgrade at the offensive coordinator position, does that give you those 3 downs, first, second, third, where it's not as predictable and you're at least able to put your defense in a better position throughout the game rather than 3 and out and you got to go back out there, not killing any time off the clock, making plays, not just going 3 and out, but just doing a little bit more to assist the defense.
Josh Capo is a friend of the pod. Josh Capo has come on here many of times and let our good fans know that the most obvious point of where the Bucs can improve and where, for instance, Byron can improve is what they're doing on 1st and 2nd down. Now, one thing that's even just hell, we'll take it 30% of the time at this point. You can't go 40, 50 minutes of football without doing anything and punting 3 and out 75% of the time. Now, what Josh has done a lot of research in lately, I wish you could be on here to talk about this, but he's
shame on you, Josh, for not being on here.
No, he's busy tonight. Don't do that to him, Gene. I'm just teasing, by the way. Josh has done a lot of research into the realm of, when Chip Kelly came to the NFL, everyone's fear was, well, if you go no huddle every single play, it's going to tire out your defense.
Right.
Well, here's the difference is when we think of, the defense resting, and again, all credit to Josh on this research here, but it's not the game time where a defender gets to breathe. They get the 30 seconds, whatever, in between plays.
Right.
There's TV timeouts. There's
Mhm.
a lot of that goes on to the NFL that it's not just, hey, they only get, 40 seconds to breathe, and then all of a sudden they're back on defense. That's
Right.
not how it works, for one. But then two, if you're not getting first downs, your defense is going right back out there anyway. And let's say the Bucs go run, pass, maybe a minute went off the clock.
Right.
You didn't kill the time in the game. You didn't give the defense adequate time of rest. If an average NFL drive, you need at least 2 first downs.
Right.
That helps field position. That helps your punter. That gives you the ability to put your defense and say, hey, they're probably starting inside their own 20.
And on top of that, we've seen throughout the season where the Bucs have gone out first, second, third down, and they've only killed 14 seconds on the clock.
That's Byron for you.
Exactly. And I'm just saying, I understand the scenario that you're talking about, but why not get somebody out there that, can play to these players' strengths?
Gene, I got one for you.
Okay.
So this is like a tweak. This is not saying Byron has to necessarily change who he is, but this would be an example of a tweak that he could do. Okay, let's say we come out in 11 personnel. So 3 wide receivers, a running back, and a tight end in shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
We know Plus loves running out of shotgun. Let's say instead of running it in the I formation in 12 personnel, we're in 11 and we go straight handoff. Okay. Right. No substitution, go straight to the line. That's not necessarily hurt. You can hurry up to the line, and Brady can change plays. He can change protections. The defense doesn't have an opportunity to sub, because generally if you look at the snap charts from an offensive and defensive standard, like for instance, let's talk about our defense. Levante David, Antoine Winfield Jr., and Devin White don't come off the field. Carlton Davis doesn't come off the field. Those are just Jamel Dean doesn't come off the field. So if you know that, you can sub in and out wide receivers who are fresh all the time.
Right.
So you can come in first down in a huddle, call your run. I don't care if you run on first down, but let's say Lenny's in the game. He gets a 2-yard carry for first down. We're right back to the line of scrimmage. I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, that defense is running cover 2, cover 3, or off man.
Could you even throw in a little bit of motion? Because that's the one thing I noticed that you just don't see a lot of motion.
What motion does is it tells a story. So again, you run up to the line, Brady calls a play, blah blah blah. Everyone runs up to the line, and then you go, "Hey, whoa, wait up. Okay, Chris, we're gonna put you in motion to this side. Here's the new. I'm waving my hands. Here's the new play. It's blah blah blah. Let's call it Bronco, whatever you want to call it. That's the new play. O-line, blah 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 blah. Razor, whatever you want to say. You just came to the line. The defense now has to think. You put someone in motion, and they could even still run the ball again. But what did I say? Yeah. Generally, the defense is going to come out in cover 3, cover 2, soft man, because you can't play press man 3, 4, 5, 6 straight plays.
No,
you're making the defense
cornerback. Yeah.
Yeah, so your cornerbacks, your middle linebackers, your big defensive linemen, if you're no huddling, offensive linemen, I think people overestimate, it's very physically demanding, but you're not running more than 5 yards. Like offensive linemen can handle it. They all played in colleges that went no huddle. They played in colleges that, ran 80 plays a game.
So in your career, I mean, did you ever have series where they came up to the line and your team ran in no huddle?
No, see, it's funny because I was blessed in high school to go straight into a pro style system. And then in college, I went into literally the same pro style system but with different verbiage and a little bit more obviously than what a high schooler is capable of, or a team of college athletes can be able to do more. From an offensive line and football standpoint, keep in mind I came into football my senior year of high school knowing jack shit, Gene. I played half of my senior year not knowing my block assignments. Oh, did I just go out? I played half my senior year without knowing my block assignments.
That's
That's the learning curve. But by the time I got to college, I finally understood the game, and halfway through my senior year, it started clicking for me. But that's again, it's simple concepts. It's just repackaged. They do things at the high school level now that the pros do. They really do. It's nuts.
So do you think, is it possible that the Bucs could simplify the offense?
Yeah, maybe? I think it's just tweaks. Again, it's running out of shotguns.
Let's talk. Michael Pless, shout out to Michael Pless, Real Bucs Talk. He's mentioned this before, possibly simplifying the offense and just, kind of, I don't want to say going back to basics, but just making it a little bit easier to find reads. I look at what's his name, Brock Purdy in San Francisco, and how they've simplified the offense. I mean, he's coming up to speed with it and everything, but they've made tweaks for him to be successful, and so far it's worked for him.
Yeah, I mean, again, the nice thing about having Brady is Brady knows all of the answers.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what the defense is doing. It's the pressure that sometimes gets him, or it's his own mental. Hey, the pressure's coming. His clock's going a little bit too quickly. But to Pless's point, it's not necessarily simplifying the playbook. It's simplifying your play calling. You can run the same exact plays. We talked about like Sean McVay will run the same 4 plays that he will know in a game. Oh, what's the
let's
line
take last year. Let's take last year for instance. Against the Bucs, we saw, that's kind of what he did. I don't want to say
5-yard nickel and dimed you, and then he hit Deshaun Jackson deep, and he was like, "I fucking got you," and ran down the sideline, running around like a little schoolgirl who just won the lottery.
Yeah,
exactly. Because that's what it is. You can lull a team to sleep. I think that's also advanced stuff. I don't even think Byron even needs to go there. I think if he just repackaged things, and again, what does Aaron Rodgers do better than anyone?
Play action.
Get those 5. Well, not only that, but gets 5 yards. They run to the line and snap the ball. And they make you think they're going to a huddle, but they just run straight to the line.
And the thing is, he's looking at what the defense is doing the whole time. And if you got 12 men on the field, he's getting ready to go up there and snap the ball.
And it's not just a Brady thing. When was the last time you remember Jameis Winston or Tom Brady going on anything other than one? That's what I mean. You can literally be in a huddle and say, all of you better not fucking move. We're going on 3. Ready? Break. That's just, if you're an offensive lineman, even if you're doing the silent count, that you're not going there.
Right. Yeah. And again, these are mistakes that we're seeing from this team that should have been corrected in preseason. I do realize,
at least by the bye.
Yeah. And I do realize that, with the swapping out of personnel and, again, thoughts and prayers out to Josh Wells. I hope that he makes a full recovery. That was
well, a guy like him, that affects whether or not he's signed during a free agency period next year.
Yeah. So again, good offensive linemen are a premium. And I guess we got spoiled as Bucs fans by the offensive line that we had for, consistent offensive line that we had for damn near 3 years. So
Donovan Smith and Tristan practiced today. Bowles said that Tristan aggravated his ankle, but I have a feeling he'll find a way to go. I think you could see visibly him on film favoring a little bit. I think that hold call,
you could see it live actually.
That's what I'm saying. But you can also, I think that hold that was called after the K-Dot and
that was bullshit.
That was a terrible holding penalty. Even the commenters said it. Everyone on Twitter said it. Mitchell Schwartz.
So you guys caught it too.
Oh yeah. No. He was definitely. I wouldn't call it limping. I'd call it favoring.
Yeah.
like you could see it kind of in like the facial expressions more
Mhm.
so than his physical play or movement is what I would describe it.
Okay. All right. So again, a lot of people have pretty much counted the Bucks out, and I think that with certain pieces coming back, you get certain pieces healthy. Ryan Jensen, I mean that's huge.
I mean, I mean, the soonest we're seeing him is Vita Vea, probably that first or second round of the playoffs
Mhm.
is the soonest. But I think him being on the sidelines though, and possibly even like being dressed maybe during a playoff scenario, I think is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So have we heard about Vita? How soon can we expect to see Vita Vea back?
I don't know. He's a limited participant. He was a calf. I mean, he's a big guy. Even if
Uh,
Vita plays in a limited, let's just say he played 25% of snaps, I think that's huge for the Bucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more I'm looking at the move to get Akeem Hicks, I would have loved to have had Ndamukong Suh here. And again, I'm
I
not.
don't think anyone could have predicted Sue was going to sign for the veteran minimum. That to me, Sue. Just what I know about Sue, he was like, "Hey, my price is 8 million. Hey,
Yeah,
my price
but
is 8 million."
if you know anything about Ndamukong Suh, he knows his value, he knows his worth, and I just he's one of those guys I would have loved to have seen him back in a Bucks uniform. I know a lot of people thought he was washed and they thought he was this, they thought he was that, but the man is consistent. I
He
think
plays every game.
and his presence in the locker room is huge. It
Well,
is.
if hindsight, I wish you would have gotten Linval Joseph. I'm not sure if you paid attention to him on that Philadelphia defensive line, but they signed him literally the same week they signed Sue.
Mhm.
Linville is destroying people, and they're playing on the same like minimal salary.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
like if you could have gotten Sue for something, maybe after the week 1 or 2 or something, when Akeem Hicks got hurt.
Yeah,
I think if you can go win, hey, 3-4 million, like Sue, could you do that for us? Like, I think that would have been appreciated, but
yeah, I
I
totally
just
get
don't
it.
think
I
we
mean,
could have predicted. I don't think we can be mad at Light
no, you
for
you
not
can.
paying
I
eight
mean,
million.
Jason Light has done a great job. I think coming in and the cupboards bare and building this team up to where he did, getting a Super Bowl in the time that he did, it almost parallels what Rich McKay did in
Yeah,
his day. However, I will say that what he's done along with his staff with the salary cap just puts him another echelon up. So that's just kind of how I view my man Jason. Shout out to Mr. Bucks Nation. Dude, we got to get you on. Here you are. You're watching the show, man. We could have easily got you on here. You got to hit me up, man. We got to get you on here sooner or later. But yeah, I would like to talk about this Carolina Panthers team because
ooh, what would you like to discuss, Gene? Because I can
uh,
tell you, we
you
don't have to
got
spend too much time on quarterback.
no. I'm not. It's not that. Um, you go from Matt Rule to Steve Wilkes, and I watched that game, and I really feel like he got the players buy-in, and it just in the period of time that he's been there, just what he's been able to accomplish. I thought he got a real bad deal in Arizona. He didn't get enough time to really put stuff together, and again, he's got the opportunity in Carolina. Is they're a division rival. I don't hate them like I do Atlanta or Dallas. So it's really cool to see kind of what they're doing. How big of a difference does a coach make in your estimation? I mean, just based on everything that we're
Hey,
seeing.
think of your boss, Gene. I'm sure someone in this chat, everyone in this chat, excuse me, has had a bad boss. I'm not saying Bowles is a bad boss. I'm just using an analogy here. Or even if it wasn't a boss, it was a teacher, someone who you thought the world of, someone who you'd run through a brick wall for. It
Mhm.
makes a huge
Oh,
difference.
huge. Absolutely. The
So
the
yeah,
the
I mean,
ownership
if
the
they
ownership
want this guy, good for them. I mean, they obviously buy more into him than Rule.
Yeah.
So
So what has put? I mean, and again, I can't. The bar is real low right now, considering that this is the NFC South and um, 7 wins is the leader of the division. Um, what is it about Carolina that do you think that this is a team that could potentially win this game? I know that they really hammered the Bucs that last game, but is this something that the Bucs could potentially split with them and win at home on Sunday?
chat, I want you to type in, I'll give you all about 30 to 45 seconds to let us know what the Panthers have and what the Bucs don't. I'll give you a little bit. But in the meantime, I'll just say, I mean, they have some great talent at certain positions. I think the Christian McCaffrey trade helped them long term, because obviously they got the draft picks from it.
Mhm.
But at the running back position, Dante Foreman and Chuba Hubbard are essentially all you need in the modern NFL. They both had even 100 yards rushing in the first half last week versus a Lions team that was in line for a playoff spot. They controlled their own destiny.
Right.
I'll give the chat about 10 more seconds. But
Now
it's
while we're talking about that,
yeah.
you really, as far as run stopping, I think the Bucks have done well in this on the back end of the season stopping the run. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, the Bucks have switched to more of what Todd Bowles has done more traditionally, which the easiest way to describe it is what we essentially ran in 2020 and 2021, versus what we ran for a lot of the beginning of the year, which is more in line of Brandon Staley's like too high based coverages versus having the 8 man in the box, cover three, cover one. Um, that's what the Bucks have run a lot more this year. And then chat, Gary, thank you for throwing out the Tom Brady.
Yeah,
But
thank
what I
you,
was going
Gary.
to say
Appreciate
was
that.
identity. They
Mhm.
they know what they want to do. Sam Darnold is not going to win games. Sam Darnold's job is to not lose games. His job is to hit DJ Moore on a streak. If the Byron mentality of your run game needs to work for play action to work. Well, that's essentially what they're doing, but they're doing it very well. Their offensive line is built more for a run, heavy scheme. They
Mhm.
have a big. I mean, Dante Foreman is by no means Derrick Henry, but he was Derrick Henry's backup, and for a reason.
Right.
He plays with that running style.
Right. A very violent running style. Yeah.
So that's their identity. Their identity is we're going to bleed this clock. We are going to run the ball down your throats. We don't care if we're down 15 or we're up 15. We're going to run the ball. So with each week from the Bucs standpoint, you don't even know what they're going to do. They don't have an identity. You don't know if it's 0-0 or 30-0 or 0-30 what the Bucs are going to do. You don't even know if they're down 3 scores, if they're even going to go no huddle.
Right.
Like you just don't know what the Bucs, the Panthers, from a predictability standpoint, you know what they're going to do. You just got to
Mhm.
stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a lot of I still believe in this defense. This defense has been one of the few consistent things on this team. And I think that they could come out there and really make some plays and they could get some stops. And I would love to see them get a few more takeaways, as opposed to what we've seen.
If
So
that's
yeah,
not for takeaways, I want to see a non-Hail Mary interception. I
mhm.
want them to actually earn an interception,
Yeah, not
during
not
the game.
not at the end of halftime, not
Yeah.
right before halftime, but something that
Where
is
your
something
offense doesn't have a chance to capitalize on your turnover like they did
exactly.
with that fumble, which again, the Bucs didn't cause per se. The Cardinals did it,
Yeah.
but the offense was able to actually have a drive because of a turnover.
Yeah. So again, for you just looking at this, and I don't sound cliche, but what are keys to victory for this game?
Oh man, hold them to let's just do 3 yards a carry. If you hold them to 3 yards a carry and put up 20 points, you win. I mean, like this really shouldn't be that hard. I mean, if you get up on them, let's say it's 10-0,
Mhm.
at the end of the first quarter, midway through the second quarter, you're gonna take them out of their game plan. Or if they let's say they continue on to keep running, tick, 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 tick.
Exactly.
You're gonna make them basically lose themselves. So it's basically, man, just get an early lead. I don't care if you have to pass 15 times in a row. For instance, whatever they did at the first half of the Bengals game and whatever they did in the fourth quarter and overtime against the Cardinals, just do that.
Yeah, bottle
Just
that
do it in
up.
the first quarter.
Yep, bottle that
That
up and
changes
drink
the whole
it.
complex of the game.
Yeah.
If you just do that in the first quarter.
So my next question is kind of similar. I'd like to talk about Mike Evans. Mike Evans is less than 100 yards away from getting a grand, I believe. I think he's.
You
Yeah.
know, if he caught that ball against the Panthers, probably only needs 10.
Yep. I know. And
So,
there were a
Mike,
couple of
don't
callbacks
drop
on
the ball, baby.
there are a couple of callbacks on some penalties that he
Oh,
should
the
easily.
49ers game too. I'll
Yeah,
take that one as
don't
well.
remind me of that. That's horrible. But do
But
you
now everyone's praying for Donnie to be back, though, so it goes both ways.
exactly? So do you think this is doable?
Well, yeah. Defense or offensively, you can't let Brian Burns win. I am sorry, Kate Otten, Lenny, Rashad. You need to chip this guy.
Yeah.
He is the guy who we talk about. Godwin for me is the straw that stirs the drink for the offense. If Brian Burns is going the way J.J. Watt was on Sunday night, we fucked.
Yeah. But I think with the level of talent that you had on the field, I thought the Bucs did a great job considering what that offensive line looked like. I mean, if you compare this offensive line that we saw against the Cardinals versus what we saw in preseason, I mean, you're talking about it's like almost night and day.
That's why you have to win this game in my mind is if you even want to win a playoff game, you literally have to rest people week 18.
Mhm. Yeah.
Donnie, Wirfs, Antoine, like Vita, like you can't play any of those guys. If you have to play week 18 and win, that's another week of those guys getting banged up.
Yeah.
That's another rolled ankle. That's your whatever shoulder or whatever getting worse.
Yep. So I don't know, man. I just I'm excited. We're the fact that we're having a conversation about the playoffs, where historically the Bucs have not been that team that you have a conversation about the playoff this time of the year. It's
Well, I can
usually
tell you this is Sam Darnold's biggest game since the Rose Bowl back when Chris Godwin played for Penn State and our good friend Trace McSorley was the quarterback and Saquon was the running back. It's been that long for Sam Darnold
wow.
to have that kind of a meaningful game because that was his real coming out party. He's
Mhm.
had like some good games since, but USC was never that good with him
You know,
around.
and honestly, I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. It could be
You can
the
tell what the
scheme.
Panthers thought of him.
Mhm. Yeah, they went and got Baker.
When we got Baker, they put what's his face, the guy who destroyed us, PJ Walker ahead of
Yeah.
him. Like he
Where's
was
he at?
very he's the backup right now because Baker's gone. But he got pulled for Baker, and then they said bye bye Baker. Okay, Sam, it's your turn.
Yeah. And then look at what Baker did last week.
Hey,
Make that make sense.
well, I don't think it was Baker. I think the Broncos are just that bad. I mean,
Yeah.
Baker, I'll give what Baker did really impressive. I mean, I know he didn't look good in his first game back, but he basically did that 4-minute comeback that Brady did literally one day prior against the Saints.
Yeah. He's just too inconsistent. I don't know,
It
man.
was the same score though, Gene. That's why literally the game was the same exact script.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It really is. So while we have a few minutes here, I wanted to kind of talk about some of these games, these upcoming games, because personally, my pick'em league is I'm basically playing for pride here,
Hey, I'm on fourth. I'm in fourth place now.
bro. I mean, don't try to give me all these pity stats and stuff like that. I mean, it's not helping my cause here. I mean, where am I at? I think I'm in 8th place.
Yeah, eighth. No, excuse me. I'm sixth. I thought I was fourth. I'm an idiot.
Yep, I'm in
Almost
8th place, and everybody else is like people that don't even like check in. There are some people that like, oh, okay, here, let me do this. Yeah, I'm in I'm almost in last place. There's one person ahead of me, or one person below me, but I'm in 8th place, and this is not looking good. So,
Can I give you one piece of advice, Gene?
okay, I'll take it.
Tennessee's resting all of their players this week. They play Jacksonville week 18 for the division. It doesn't matter what either team does this week. They play each other, most likely going to be Sunday Night Football the way the Chargers and Raiders played last year.
I'll
Straight
take
up,
it.
one game for the division.
I would take Jacksonville next week. I just
Oh,
would.
no, I'm talking about for this week, though. Tennessee plays Dallas on Thursday Night Football.
Dallas.
Tennessee's resting Henry. They're resting their offensive line. They're resting Jeffrey Simmons. Like, everyone that's important for the Titans isn't playing on Thursday night. So I would say swing Dallas. And then for the Jacksonville game, they play Houston. So I would come down if you think Jacksonville's backups can beat Houston's starters. So at least have that mindset.
Yeah, but it is lovey-dovey, so you never know what lovey-dovey is going to do.
Hey, he won last week.
Yeah, which totally, again, just torpedoed me. That guy, he's a menace to. He's been a menace all season. The Cardinals versus the Falcons, Battle of the Birds. I've got the Cardinals winning this game.
I got the Dirty Birds.
I think. Oh wow.
Dirty Birds are playing for their. Actually, excuse me, they're out. I take that back.
Yeah, they are.
I think that one
because they're playing spoiler here. Well, so are the Atlanta Falcons.
No, they're both out, so that's why it's fun. Colt McCoy is probably going to play.
Oh,
you talk about why you're picking Arizona. Well, I think.
Okay, so I'm looking at Arizona. I'm looking at the fact that J.J. Watt. Shout out to J.J. Watt. It was incredible to watch him, even though this is my first time actually seeing J.J. Watt live. And the guy, for him being on the back end of his career, the guy is amazing. He's still amazing. And you see flashes of what you saw in Houston. And if I had to say there was one regret, is to not be able to see JJ Watt, winning a Super Bowl and hoisting that Lombardi. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Kind of what I have so much respect for that guy. So again, I'm taking the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals all come together to do this. I don't know how true it is, but I don't think that JJ is a big fan of Kyler Murray's, so I don't know.
Oh, I think JJ Watt's retirement tells you what he probably thinks of the Cardinals' more organization moving forward.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I think he's still I think he played at a very high level on Sunday. I think there was a little bit of emotion in that game because he did post with his wife that he brought his baby to the game so that way his baby could actually see him play live for probably the first and last time.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of emotion going into that. I'm going to take Atlanta only because I think their rookie QB has been playing okay. I don't think he's playing as well as everyone's saying. I just think
I don't think he's been the problem.
No, and I think the Falcons are more apt to playing for their coach than I think Arizona is for Kingsbury.
Yeah, I think and I read something here locally that Kingsbury could be stepping down. Again, the whole Steve Wilkes, Cliff Kingsbury is a byproduct of Patrick Mahomes. And I know that sounds weird, me saying that, but you've got Josh Rosen in place, you've got Steve Wilkes in place, and then you've got a chance to get Cliff Kingsbury, who coached Patrick Mahomes, and you have a chance to get a player prototype, well, what you think is a prototype, similar to Patrick Mahomes, and you think you can marry those two together and put together this dynamic offense. And unfortunately, Kyler Murray is not a football savvy quarterback to learn how to slide or learn how to run out of bounds or learn how not to take hits. And you see him injury prone, throughout his career. So, honestly, I just think that was just a bad deal. And I really wish that Steve Wilkes had gotten a chance in Arizona to really show what he could do.
Fun fact, you know who Steve Wilkes' offensive coordinator was?
Who?
Byron Leftwich. Um,
That's
af-
right.
but what I was basically going to say is I also just wanted a quick shout out to Mike Leach. Kingsbury is part of the Mike Leach coaching tree. Mike
Okay.
Leach obviously died recently, left a huge imprint on the game, but his run and shoot offense is essentially what Kingsbury, brought into the NFL.
Yeah.
Is that type of system. And I think the reason why he got the job was because he identified, hey, here's what I can do with Kyler Murray. And Steve Keim and ownership and Michael Bidwell went, sure.
Yeah. And real quick, I do want to shout out the family of Franco Harris. I apologized last week. I got so wound up in this Cardinals game, I didn't really get to mention it, but the passing of Franco Harris, incredible running back, incredible human being. I actually met him at the airport, and I have a picture. I never posted the picture, but I have a picture. What's funny? I've got like I've got like 10 pictures that I've never put on social media that are just personal to me. Like I got a picture with Jason Light. I've got a picture with Greg Allman that I haven't just like paraded out there. I've got a picture with the Glaziers, and I haven't posted those pictures because they're personal to me. But just seeing him at the airport and getting to talk to him, and just a great football mind and great somebody really incredible to talk to. It was amazing getting to actually meet him, and it was so funny because I was walking by and I saw him, and my eyes kind of got big. I made eye contact with him again, and he smiled, and I was like, okay, so I guess that's cool for me to go up and talk to him. And man, I talked to him for about I'd say we talked for about 20 minutes, and this was right before I was getting ready to go to the UK. But I had to get back to where I was going, but it was just an incredible conversation. And I love conversations about football. Just football, no personalities, no he said this or he did this, but just talking about schemes and matchups and what this quarterback brings or this defense brings and this one doesn't, or vice versa. It was just a really incredible conversation. It's very rare that you get to talk to a Hall of Fame running back on just on a whim and just get to talk to him, and it was a very great experience for me.
That's a beautiful story. I don't really have anything to really add there. I mean, I only knew him for that one particular play. Um, so it's just
It's a
sad to
violent
see.
runner. I mean, he's just a throwback to, how running backs were in the 70s. And you heard about busted knees and you heard about guys being dizzy, not realizing that they had concussions, or, two a days where there you don't get water till the end of practice and that kind of thing. It was just it was a different era. And the definition of toughness then versus toughness now are night and day. So just, a huge shout out to his family, and he will be missed, and it's incredible that, they got it right and got him in the Hall of Fame. And you know again, it's just one of those opportunities where where I got a chance to meet him.
That's wonderful, man.
Yeah. So just kind of getting back to the Pick'em League here. But I did want to say that because it dawned on me after the show was over that I didn't get to mention him, but I did want to make sure I did. Um the Chicago Bears versus the Detroit Lions. This is going to be a fun game. Um I am really looking forward to Chicago to see what they put together for their quarterback next year. But Detroit versus Chicago, I am taking Chicago actually.
Who do they have again?
Um,
Detroit.
Detroit. Let's see.
Detroit.
Chicago is at Detroit.
I think this is going to be low key, like kind of what the Falcons and Lions were doing at the beginning of the year. I think this will be a fireworks matchup. I'll just take Detroit because they just got a couple more weapons in this arms display that'll take place. But if you have Justin Fields, I say play him if you're in fantasy and the championship and you happen to have Fields.
Intriguing.
This game will be fun on Red Zone. I obviously won't be watching Red Zone because I'll be tuned into the Bucs Panthers game, but
yeah,
because I at least get this one, Gene, where I don't have to like stream it on some illegal thing. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, and I do have to talk to you about that after the show, by the way. So I've got.
Well, speaking of which, YouTube TV, let's go. They bought freaking the rights.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up. This is great. This is great. The great segue here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with YouTube TV? Because
1 to 10, Gene, 150.
Really?
Gene, this thing records everything. You can just add, like, let's say you can just add Tampa Bay Buccaneers to your library. Anything that's Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be recorded. You want to watch a particular show, it's automatic record. You just have to basically just add it to your list. Now, I will tell you in the chat, I've had Spectrum, I've had Hulu TV, and in terms of their apps for like the live TV function, Spectrum, I'd only be able to watch NBC and ESPN when it comes to sports on the mobile app. For Hulu TV, whether if I'm at home or on the app, because like for instance, a lot of times where like 1 o'clock, let's say the Bucs are playing at 4 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, Gene, I am in a state park, so you're not supposed to have very good service or anything, right? I can tell you with Hulu TV and Spectrum in the same state park that I take my dog to for a nice long hike, with YouTube TV, I have zero issues.
Really?
So I'm listening and watching Red Zone live while I'm walking my dog.
And so basically YouTube does have Red Zone, right?
Yeah, so YouTube, what essentially you do is they have like, you can buy like the lowest tier package, which is what I'd recommend. You don't need really anything more than that. It gives you all of the basic sports. So like CBS, for instance, is not offered on Hulu.
Right.
So you wouldn't be able to see CBS games. Oh, what's up, Plus? But for YouTube TV, for instance, you get all of the basic channels with the basic package that you need for sports, FS1, whatever you want. But then for just $10 a month, you can add Red Zone. You have Red Zone. I think for $10, Red Zone's the best value you can get in sports for $10 a month. So you basically get 4 weeks for $10, $250 a week. I think it pays for itself. And then after 6 months, you just turn that off. Quick switch of a button or click of a button.
And so I don't have to do all the bootleg stuff that I was doing before.
Well, and then if they get I don't know how the Sunday ticket package, for instance, will work with YouTube. I'm sure there might be some kinks, but I'm just running off the assumption that it runs as well as Fox, CBS, and then like Red Zone channel, for instance.
I love the Red Zone.
It's been awesome.
Plus, what's going on, man? Happy holidays.
If only the Bucs loved the Red Zone as much as I did.
Bro, no, Ryan Suckup loves that we don't love the Red Zone.
Oh, he's having a great season. great
Team
great
Suckup.
season.
You know what? I should have worn my this guy loves Ryan Suckup shirt.
So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Buccaneers.
We're almost there.
Yeah,
I'm so
hopefully New Year, new Bucs, right? Plus,
hopefully, yeah. Looks like gonna get some Ryan Jensen back, so that'd be nice.
Yeah, all the Ryan Jensen love in the world here, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, your boy Nate Hackett couldn't hack it. So
yeah, I take him over Leftwich right now.
Yeah.
Ooh, shots fired.
You know what? He chose violence, and I'm loving it, man. I'm loving
hey, he still gets paid his 5-year contract.
Yeah, he does,
in
man.
full.
So he can go to the Grand Caymans and chill. I wish I could. You know what? Shout out to the Grand Cayman Bucs. Love you guys. Be seeing you in June. Trust me. But just this season has been one of the most unusual seasons that I've ever been a part of. I'm not joking. I mean, just in general. I mean, when you look at this division, when you just look at how the playoff picture is lined up. Plus, what is your take on all this?
It's been it's been a season of just lots of inconsistency. I think just overall philosophy has shifted, mindset, aggression, standards, accountability. A lot of things go into it where obviously it's obvious one side of the team is obviously being held to such a high standard and they're playing like it. They're playing pretty good, and that's the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we look at the other side of the football, the standard, the expectation, the execution level is not the same. It's just, and you even see it in Byron Leftwich when he talks about it. He's like, we're just doing what it takes to win games. But he's not talking about anything of finding solutions or responding with a solution of how to be better, how to be more efficient, more effective,
He almost sounds like Dirk
scoring
Cutter.
more points.
He almost sounds like Dirk Cutter.
It's excuse after excuse, and there's no answers, there's no results. And it's the same thing with Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles, he's just not holding that same standard to the offense. And he's always talking about when this team lose, well, the defense didn't do this, the defense didn't do that. Offense, didn't, whatever. It's like, and yes, certain players on the offense are not playing to a certain level. Tom Brady's not playing to his capabilities of the past. And I think that's the biggest issue where they're calling the game, expecting Tom to be that guy, expecting Tom to make these great throws, expecting Tom to,
but with no rhythm too. And we're talking
right,
hard throws. It's not like when he was throwing slants against the Bengals to Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Where has that been the entire, just to anyone? Here,
Yeah.
Tom, here's 3 easy throws of your first 5, so you can just get a rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I talked about that in the Cincinnati game after that. Like after the first half, I was like, where has this process been? And the process was correct. Tony Romo was talking about it where we had pre-snap motion, there was play action involved, there was runs out of shotgun, there was things where they were making the execution easier. And guess what? The execution worked because it was said easier, and you're gaining confidence for your playmakers. You were setting up plays for Mike Evans where he had 5 catches for 83 yards in the first half. And then all of a sudden in the second half, because you have a 17-3 lead, our philosophy is going to change because we think our defense is good enough to shut down Cincinnati's offense to 0 in the second half, and we're going to win the game 17-13 or whatever it may be. No, that's not the case. And the process changed, and I got a lot of flack for this because I wasn't putting enough blame on Tom Brady. But at the same time, when you set up your offense for 3rd and 8 situations, guess what? Bad things happen usually. And when you're in bad situations, usually that leads to bad results. And that's what we saw. We saw 5 straight turnovers because we didn't know what to do as far as process and understanding that play action was working on first down. We were being aggressive, getting first downs on first down instead of setting up 3rd and long situations where you're just, it's a lose-lose situation. And
Bucs fans should know this well because, I mean, I'm going to flashback really quick to 2018 where Dirk Cutter is the head coach of this team. Obviously, he had issues play calling that entire season when he was at the Realm. The best offensive coordinator right now in college football, at least in my opinion, is Todd Monken. Those were the best 3 weeks of Bucs football we've ever seen offensively. No offense to even last year's offense. Those 3 weeks were the best thing that ever happened to Tampa, and it was the same exact playbook.
Todd Shaolin Monken, that guy.
He's going to be a head coach, man. If you told me that Todd Bowles looked at Todd Monken and said, "Hey, I want you to come be the OC," I would be ecstatic. I don't think Todd's that foresighted, though. I don't think I think he wants an offensive coordinator who can kind of control, play his brand of ball, type of thing. But
yeah, he said
again, and I come back to this, plus, and I'm glad you're here. I'm gonna put this question to you. If you're a defensive minded coach and you have somebody who can get you a couple of first downs, they can put the ball in a position where the defense can go out and do what they do, and you're not putting your defense in a bad situation by only taking 14 seconds off the clock. Is this something that you want, or are you comfortable with what you're getting from Todd Bowl? I mean, from Byron Leftwich.
Well, it would be okay. Like if Byron Leftwich, and I'm sure he is, if he was given full control of the offense, and we're assumed he does have full control, you would think he would be able to go out there and call a good game plan and how we need to have it. But the problem is Byron, his process is broken, and Todd Bowles doesn't know how to eradicate that or fix it. He doesn't know how to stop the bleeding that is happening on offense. And he's not taking that accountability where he's going in and saying, hey, we need to do this or do that. There's just those tweaks are not taking place versus whereas Bruce Arians, if he was the head coach, he was making certain tweaks and saying, hey, Byron, we need to try to do this more or do this, even though Byron was having full control over calling the plays. And I think that's the issue that you're seeing. There's just not that adjustment being made by Todd Bowles. Maybe when it comes to running the ball 30 times, maybe that is the small adjustment. But guess what? We don't run the football well, or we don't know how to run it good when we do, or we don't put in the right guy. We play a guy that has a foot injury that's pretty severe. And, even though he did okay against Arizona, it's just there's nothing consistent, and that's the bottom line. There's nothing consistent with the offense.
It's interesting. Where I was sitting at, I could see Rachaad White. Rachaad White is sitting right next to Giovanni Bernard on the far end of the field, on the far end of the benches, away from where all the play and the action was, while Leonard Fournette is in. And I'm like, I asked Greg, is Rachaad White hurt? Never got a response back. Which, I know there's a lot of action and everything going on, but these are the kind of things I'm talking about. Consistency, being able to utilize your whole roster of talent. I mean, you don't have to use every running back on your roster, but rotate some of these guys in, give your defense some different looks. Because what I can tell you is that the Cardinals defense was confident. They weren't scared. They weren't concerned with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. I could tell you that just by the way the plays were coming in, the way everybody was lined up. They knew what was coming, and that's just how they weren't on their heels at all until maybe in the back of the end of the fourth quarter. But for the majority of that game, they weren't on their heels, and they didn't care what Tampa rolled out with. They were up for the challenge.
And you say that at the end of the fourth quarter, it's because guess what? Byron Leftwich is taken out of the game. When Byron Leftwich is minimalized or benched per se, guess what? The offense starts humming, starts rolling. It's just starts playing loose. It starts playing aggressive. We see fake screens. We see the right, calls with play action, identifying certain matchups and continuing to attack. And everything runs like it should be.
Right.
But, well, in the national media, I mean, the narrative is that Todd doesn't trust Brady, because obviously that comment was, we don't want Tom to throw an interception in like a 2-minute situation, for instance. But that necessarily doesn't mean that he doesn't trust Tom Brady, the quarterback. He might just not trust the offense, because he's come out and said, hey, not trusting Byron, obviously, because he is the offense. Todd is like, I don't go into offensive meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He runs his ship. Byron runs his.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the lay of the land. That's just how it is.
Right. But I think it's also a top to bottom, just, overall shift of philosophy. I think Todd talked about that today, about how the personality of the team is shifting. And yeah, sure, that makes sense, because Todd is, obviously contrast to Bruce Arians, but it's just, he comes out of the halftime, saying we need to run the ball more. And it's just, there's just no, I guess, urgency to go out there and put up points, quickly. And obviously in that first drive, Tom Brady misses the corner route to Julio Jones. Should have been 7-0. So there's blame to go all around. and it's
100%.
yeah, blame to go all around on the offense, and it just hasn't been up to par. Uh, but it starts with what you're asking these guys to do, and when the asking or the task is not consistent, and you obviously see what works, but you continue to change things up back to what doesn't work. There's a disconnect, and it's obvious throughout the team.
Yeah. And I have to say this. What you've seen here recently is not anywhere near in comparison to what we've seen in the past. And I have to ask, is this part of what's going on with the offensive line? It does offensive line play factor into what we're seeing from the quarterback? Is this because I heard somebody talk about and I can't remember the tweet, but they had mentioned, with the way the offensive line is, Tom Brady's not able to get plays off like he was in the past. Is this something that these are coachable moments where you have to make adjustments to where Tom Brady's able to do something, or you can get the defense to back off? Is that a fair assessment?
No, that's fair. I mean, the past 2 years, this offensive line was top 5 unit. I mean,
Mhm.
it was a really good unit, obviously with
Mhm.
Jensen, Marpet, and then you had 2 really good tackles. Donovan Smith was playing at the top of his game. Obviously, he regressed this year, hasn't been the same since that week 1 with the injury, and then obviously there's more things going on to it. And he was out this week, this past week against Arizona, and that obviously played a factor with Brandon Walton giving up some inside pressures and led to a turnover. So yeah, offensive line is a part of it, but at the same time, you knew what you had going into this season,
Right.
and that's what I talk about with coaching and not making the changes necessary to adapt your offense or to evolve it, to understand who your personnel is instead of just thinking you're going into this season with AB, Gronk, same guys you had the last 2 years, and we're just gonna call it the same way because that's what we do. That's
Right.
who we are. We're gonna execute it no matter what, and everything's gonna be groovy, baby. But no, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
And that's where the coaching drops off, and that's when you look at defenses week to week, and they know what we're gonna do. And you already talked about
That,
that.
and
They
and that
know.
goes back to what I was talking about.
Mm,
This defense, and I'm sitting here watching this. I'm watching the personnel going in and out, and they weren't scared. They weren't worried about what Tampa was doing. They just ran their
mm,
plays.
yeah.
And that's the one thing that I've watched, like at the Seattle game. I was at the Seattle game as well. And Tampa had Seattle on their heels. They just
Mm.
did. And it's just a different, a totally different mindset, that game to this game. And again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
But
not sure.
but to your point, I mean, offensive line definitely plays a part because this offense is just not hitting the big plays, and that's the key part that's missing. The explosive plays down the field, those type of plays are just not cutting it this year for whatever reason. Either it's misses by Brady, or it's just not enough time to hit him. So it's a combination of all those things where just not getting the big plays like we have in the past.
Right.
And obviously that definitely hurts. And you look at the touchdown drives or the drives that led to points, we had some big plays in there.
Yeah.
Obviously the 44-yard to Leonard Fournette on the little screen, that was a huge play. And then you had some other big plays in the passing game as well. Some runs too. So yeah, I mean, the explosives are not there. And again, it goes back to sequencing as well. You're not setting any of this up with your play calls. So it's really altogether it's just not very good. And you got to hope with the addition of Ryan Jensen, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, maybe that makes the difference, and maybe they can find themselves and find a way to get enough offense to maybe be a factor in the playoffs. But again, they have to beat Carolina this week to make that happen.
Yeah, this is a must-win game right here. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, just before any of this came about, I would have said that, this is a game that the Bucs just have to go out and, establish the run or establish the pass and sprinkle in the run in order to get some of these defenses on their heels. And I don't know what it's going to take for Tampa to beat Carolina. We heard from KB earlier. What are your thoughts on Tampa? What Tampa needs to do to win this game?
Well,
Yeah, maybe stop that run. If they run all over us, we fucked.
Yeah, I mean Carolina, obviously had, last month or so they found their running game, and that's really been the reason why they have won games. Defensively, they've been a little bit better. Brian Burns has really stepped up his game. He's been after the quarterback.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, so he's been really good. Their secondary's a little beat up this week, so that will obviously help us out.
Does JC Horn play? I think is a question that I think will have a huge impact, because if he plays, he's playing with a cast. To those who don't know, he has a broken wrist.
Yeah.
Just got surgery, I believe, on it. So I think the plan was for him to play week 18, but he's iffy week 17. If he's not playing, I think that's huge for the Mike Evans, Julio Joneses of our offense.
Yeah, shout out to Ken Cook. It's going to take execution to win this game. 100%. Totally agree with that.
That's a plus answer right there.
Yes. Lots of love and lots of execution. That's the key. And to quote, my favorite coach from The Replacements, a lot of heart, miles and miles of heart. That's what it's going to take.
Miles and miles.
I wish we had Shane Falco, but that's okay.
I'll take the linebacker.
Yeah, I would love him too, man. And I would take some of the big offensive linemen. Because
if we needed a director too for in the current, we'd have our linebacker could be our director.
Yeah, there you go. You never know; it could happen.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, he can stick to the Mandalorian because he does a great job there.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, this game, and really, I don't just score points. I mean, I think if we can get 20 points, I think we have it.
Gene, he didn't listen to me, but he laid out everything that I said. Brian Burns, stop that MFer and just put up 20. If you put up 20, I think you win this game.
Pretty much. That's what it takes. Because I think we'll be able to stop their offense. Again, just blitz the shit out of Slam Darnold and
Slam Darnold. Slam that mofo to the ground.
Yeah.
I'll be sick if he starts trying to run or he gets like positive yards from moving the ball with his legs. I'll be sick. I think you got a statue right here. I think they have an opportunity to go get him. Just from what I saw from McSmelly and the fact that he can make plays with his legs, I'm really hoping that this bodes well for the defense to get at him. Akeem Hicks looked good. They were able to stop some runs, and they made Connor look sort of normal. So again, I would love to see Vita Vea. I know that he's limited participation, but I would love to see more out of him. I did notice, just so you guys know, throughout the game that Antoine Winfield stayed on the bike quite a bit in between plays. That was the one thing that caught my attention throughout that Cardinals game. So hopefully he is on the mend and he is doing better.
Yeah, he probably has a high ankle sprain, and that's tough to deal with. Same thing with Tristan Wirfs. So yeah, you just got to hope for the best. It looks like Donovan will be back this week, so that will help, and hopefully we'll have Tristan out there as well. But yeah, this
is Logan. Was Logan Hall? Is he in concussion protocol?
You mean Logan Ryan?
Logan Ryan, excuse me, Logan Ryan.
I think Logan's okay. So all those guys should be fine as far as secondary. Obviously, Carlton with the shoulder, that's something to monitor. But we'll see. Again, the main thing for this one, and like Ken said, is be smart on offense, protect the ball. Defensively, just be aggressive and attack Sam Darnold and get in his face. I think you can force some turnovers. Obviously, take away their run game with the split zone and don't get caught with the candy. and just be, get upfield and
Do your job.
do your
Well,
job.
and this is the game. You have 8 in the box.
Right.
If you told me that DJ Moore went off for 120 yards and we couldn't stop him, and that's why we lost, I can live with that. I can't live with Dante Foreman beating us. I just can't.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that will be the game plan. And again, it just comes down to our offense, like it does every week. Can we score enough points? Can we score to help our defense and put them in a position where they can be aggressive? And can we actually get a 2-touchdown lead and
close the game out?
Right. Yeah. And continue to be aggressive, and to continue to stack the points. Can we put a 30-point game together? Hell, I take
If there's a time to do it, it's fucking now.
Yeah,
right?
this will be the first time.
I'll just take 24. 20, anything more than 20. That's what I
would
want.
take 24. I would be happy with 24.
24-14. That's a solid win. You win the division, and then you can rest your players against the Falcons and hell, play Kyle Trask and see what the kid's got.
Yeah, I would play Gabbert like one quarter and then just let the kid go, just so that if Brady were to get injured, Gabbert could say he had some time.
Yeah, let Tom go see the kids and let him take a week off, get his mind right.
Did you see he posted on Instagram or whatever that he just had his Christmas like yesterday? That kind of broke my heart.
Wow.
Yeah,
even as like a divorced kid, like my family their parents were divorced or whatever, but like I at least had Christmas on Christmas Day,
right,
because his job, you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, given the fact they had to play on Christmas, I mean, it's tough though. It's tough for
and to anyone saying he's going to the Raiders or 49ers, if seeing Jack was so important to him to be on the East Coast, now he's got 2 ex-wives with 2 sets of kids. You don't think being close to them is going to be even more important than what it has been?
Yeah,
I saw something.
I see retirement or he's back with the Bucs. That's his
Bucs or Miami is the only other team I would even take in, just because of Tua's concussions, or let's say they just go, hey, we'll trade Tua. We're
it's Bucs or retirement.
On that subject, before we all bounce out of here, Tua, they need to shut Tua down. Right now, they need to shut him down.
But Gene, it's the playoffs. As long as no, I know, but what I'm saying is from a team standpoint, as long as the doctors clear him, they'll play him.
Bro,
they already proved that they do that.
I was having seizures on the ground.
Yeah, but he was back in 2 weeks. And they even forced Teddy out, who didn't even have a concussion, and they fired their independent neurologist or whatever. But it's the same thing continuing on. The reason, do you know how he ended up in concussion protocol this time, Gene? Is Mike McDaniel was watching film and he goes, there's something wrong with Tua. So the medical people didn't notice. The staff didn't notice. The team didn't notice.
Is this
Tua ignored it, but Mike goes, I think there's something wrong with Tua. That's what it took. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, and they're in a playoff spot, right? Currently, they're just hanging on.
They're
in the they're in the wild card. I think they're the 7 seed right now, but they play the Patriots, I believe, again. The Patriots are right on their heels.
That's going to decide it.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. So they're in a predicament. Teddy Bridgewater ain't it.
That's crazy that Jacksonville is leading the division. That's
awesome. Yeah, but it doesn't matter with them. And that's what I was telling Gene about his picks earlier tonight was don't pick Jackson. Even though Jacksonville's playing Houston, you have to basically say, does Jacksonville's backups beat Houston's starters is essentially what you're picking against. And Tennessee's already said for tomorrow night, we're not playing anyone.
What about
Henry, my boy Nicholas Petit-Frere? What's the defensive tackle? Jeffrey Simmons. No one's playing.
Why is that? Because
the game doesn't matter. It's Jacksonville versus Tennessee for the division week 18.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So whatever happens just doesn't matter for either team.
Gotcha.
All right.
And they're probably going to be the Sunday night football game, and Tennessee's going to get days of rest. So that whole implication is
going to beat Dallas anyway.
Well, probably not, but also home teams generally win 80% of Thursday night football games.
Yeah, I tried that little theory, and it's hurt me 2 or 3 times this season. So
I'm out of the picks, guys. I took myself out last week because I didn't make any picks. I messed that whole thing up. So I forgot my picks. I forgot my fantasy lineups.
I wondered why I moved up in standings. You and I were like neck and neck.
I basically just took off last week and yeah, enjoyed the
Hey,
holidays.
we all need it, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Hope all's well.
No, it's all good. It's just people. people.
Yeah. It's devastating. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. This is fun. This is therapy for me, just kind of getting through this. Next season is going to be really interesting.
Gene, you said that last season, or right at the end of the season too. You said next year is going to be interesting, and it turned out that way. So you never know what's going to pop up on the horizon.
Yep. But again, it takes a certain kind of person to be a Bucs fan. Not everybody's built for this.
That's for sure.
Some people are, some people aren't.
Well, if anyone who's proved it, it's me, because I held this team to obviously way too high of a standard.
Oh, most
especially
definitely.
The past 2 years.
Yeah, most definitely he did. So it is what it is. All right, guys. I want to thank everybody. Plus, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you as always, man. I love your insight.
No problem.
I'm glad you liked the movie. Violent Night was good. I loved it. We'll be watching it again. KB, thank you again. Plus, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you before we go out of here.
Yeah, catch me at Real Bucs Talk. And speaking of hiatuses, we've taken a hiatus ourselves, but we're going to be back at it. We got some videos dropping tonight, obviously later this week as well. But yeah, check us out on YouTube, Real Bucs Talk. And we can't wait to dive into more as far as this team goes and just talking about the frustrating offense and obviously this team, but hopefully they can bring us something to cheer about in this new year coming up and be a lot more consistent, as we like to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. KB.
Everyone, you know where to find me, but what I'm going to tell you all to do right now is go to my Twitter and go look at one of my most recent tweets from 1 hour ago, where I said the theme of this week is if you haven't seen this game and if you're a basketball fan, I promise you will enjoy this. Go look up Chino Hills versus Modern Day from 5 or 6 years ago. Chino Hills versus Modern Day Academy, excuse me. It is the most high octane offense and getting up in your face and then putting your foot on the throat you'll ever see. And it's arguably the best public school versus private school game of all time. Just spoiler alert, it's the Three Ball brothers. They basically took on an entire high school that is probably one of the most famous high schools in all of the country, especially for recruiting, kick their ass by 60.
Wow.
The game was won in the first 2 minutes of the game. That's what the Bucs theme should be this week. Get up in the Panthers' face, score early, get them out of what they do well.
Yep. You got to put your foot on the gas. You got to keep it on the gas, basically. And I would love to see more aggressive play from the Bucs. Win or lose. I think that you're playing to win, not playing not to lose.
Right.
And that should be the mindset of this staff, of this team. And again, do your fucking job. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Hey, that's Bill Belichick. That's too close to Brady. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Like I always like to say, you don't defend them, you attack them, and that's how you have to win.
Yeah, most definitely.
In the 2022 NFL, your best defense is a good offense. That's the Chiefs.
Absolutely, most definitely. And again, shout out to Shooter in the Stash, We the Thunder. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I appreciate everybody that's been able to check us out. Thank you so much. We will be doing this again next Wednesday. And we're going to go ahead and roll out of here. I'm hoping for a Bucs win. We're still talking playoffs. The Bucs control their own destiny. And there we go. Let's do this. A few more games of the season. And